Work.
This is Hi, welcome.
I feel like that room.
Nicole Wilson. No, sorry.
I'm Sandra. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Anita.
Melissa, nice to meet you.
I'm Carl Schmidt. Nice to meet you.
Hey, how are you? Good. Good to see you.
You more coming in and
Okay.
I love the cross-color switching that happened with that. From him, I started.
Oh, you are joking. Okay, great.
Yes, stay here. I know.
It's like a big
It's
trust.
trying, use as a chair.
Want to meet the other couple?
John does this thing.
Great. I never use my stay home.
Okay, it's number 6.
and yours look right in mine.
So do I. Mine's not. I'm just gonna move it over here.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Good seeing you. Yeah, Robert, he's, sixth grade.
Sixth grade?
Very excited to work this, but very
Oh,
excited. Yeah, sure. My wife better go to the classroom. I know, it's nice meeting you in theory. Make sure there's one Friday teacher. I actually haven't been inside there.
How much online in the last?
Get a survey, it doesn't have to be just that, but types and quantities, they can really coordinate what kind of
So if you do 6A, 6B, and
I mean, they won't be like the students, and then it'll just be,
open season for
yeah, she asked me, and I said, well, we'll just, as soon as we get the company, she's gonna kind of. I told her, like, you told me at the time.
everybody. Are we at 6 o'clock? All right, welcome to the Tuesday, August 20th, 2024 Board of Education meeting. We have all trustees present. We begin our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, which I have to stand for. I Recognition, is that correct? That's correct. Additions, deletions? There are none. Thank you. Communication from agenda items? None on agenda item. Okay. That moves us to 5, the general consent agenda. The general consent agenda tonight consists of A, the minutes of the July 16, 2024 Board of Education meeting, B, the treasurer's report from June of 2024, and C, IAE Schools of Choice Section 105C, 9th grade for 2025 through 2026 school year. Is that correct? That's for next year. Okay, all right, great. May I have a resolution, please, Mr. Hoff?
Need therefore resolved that the Detroit Board of Education takes action to approve items A, B, and C on the consent agenda.
So I have a resolution by Mr. Hoff, supported by Mr. Hoff. I wrote it down before you said it. Right. Are there any questions or comments about consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Actually had it.
Oh, you did? Go ahead, sorry. I moved fast, moving fast. Okay, back to you.
Is the IE school of choice, is that consistent from year to year?
Yes,
I just want to verify.
That's the same number from last year. And that number worked really well for us this year.
Okay, that's right.
Great. Sorry, I didn't roll over you like a steamroller. Annie, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, it was, how many students are at IEs?
So, there's about, do you know the number, 560-ish?
Yeah, between 560 and 600 is our fluctuation.
That's the total.
It's more than, yeah. There is a little bit of attrition from the years, some people off. 560-ish.
So right now it's 85 school of choice students and about the same number of our 90 students.
Correct, yeah, that's right.
Any other questions? Slow down. Any other questions? We're all right? Okay. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed, say no. Thank you. Resolution passes. Okay. That moves us to personnel. And we're going to rearrange personnel here. We're going to start with item 6E. Sorry, we're going to start with A, and then we'll switch to. I'm so worried about the order here. Okay, 6A. Mr. Pagel. Good evening. Good evening.
So Dr. Macheski, Mr. Schmidt, members of the board, I have some personnel matters for your consideration this evening. The first one is an appointment for an assistant principal at Larson Middle School. I am pleased to recommend the appointment of Mrs. Melissa Palmieri to the position of assistant principal at Larson Middle School. Mrs. Palmieri started her career as a history and geography teacher for Avondale Public Schools. She moved on to Troy School District in 2016, where she taught history and economics at the International Academy East. She has most recently served as the Bloomfield Hills Associate Principal at West Hills and South Hills Middle Schools. Mrs. Palmieri holds a Bachelor of Science in Social Studies and History and has a master's degree in Educational Leadership from Saginaw Valley State University. Mrs. Palmieri has led the building's global equity team and assisted with implementation of district-wide bond projects and standardized policies across the district. With your approval, Mrs. Palmieri will begin her duties as an assistant principal at Larson, effective this week.
Ask to approve the appointment of a new assistant principal from Larson Middle School. May I have a resolution, please? Dr. Wilson.
Be it therefore resolved that the Board of Education issues a 2-year probationary administrative contract without tenure to the administrator position to Mrs. Palmieri? Palmieri, okay. Palmieri. All right, who will begin her duties as assistant principal at Larson Middle School effective July 1st, 2020. Support.
A resolution by Dr. Wilson, supported by Ms. Alish. Are there any questions or comments about this? Seeing none, all those in favor please say yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed say no. Thank you, resolution passes and welcome.
Palmieri is here.
Okay, now,
The next number of
Hold on, before you
items.
go.
Yep, I was going to say, the next number of items are related to administrative contracts in the handbook, and you may have some background.
I do have some background that I want to make sure we have read into the records because we're making some changes here. So I know you've got some personal matters for the board's consideration regarding contract extensions. for all of our administrators. But before we entertain those, I want to spend a few minutes just giving some commentary and context around those new contracts, because there are some changes. I'd like my comments to be recorded on the record by Ms. Holmes prior to the board reading the resolutions and voting. So this board has been engaged and aware of some controversy that has existed about public school employee pension calculations by the Michigan Office of Retirement Services. There's been litigation since 2019 in the case named Batista versus Office of Retirement Services about whether all compensation to public employees should count towards the employee's pension calculations. And I will tell you that we're very concerned about it because we could find ourselves in a position where some of our people would be told that they weren't eligible for the pension amount that they actually are eligible for. So we want to make sure that that wasn't going to happen to any of our people. The main issue is that the litigation, in the litigation, was that the ORS's exclusion of compensation increases awarded to some administrators near the end of their educational careers, which the plaintiffs successfully argued was inappropriate. The Batista litigation went to the Michigan Supreme Court, and on July 30th, 2024, the Supreme Court issued a ruling that now offers school districts guidance about addressing this topic moving forward. With the forthcoming contract resolutions tonight, we'll be taking action consistent with the Supreme Court's opinion. Historically, our board approved these administrative contracts in June or July in a given year, but we intentionally waited until after the Supreme Court's ruling in hopes of having clarity about the disputed topics, which thankfully we have now. And as you recall, this was on our agenda for last month, and then we pulled it at the last minute because we knew we were going to have a hearing or an opinion from the Supreme Court. So it is this Board of Education's expectation that all salary paid to all of our employees is counted towards calculating their annual pension amounts upon retirement. The board bargains in good faith with all our employee groups regarding their wage and fringe benefits. The board and the employees pay into the pension system with the expectation that our employees will receive the full benefit of their bargain when qualifying for their pensions. The board regularly has commissioned salary studies of surrounding districts when setting compensation parameters for our workforce. For example, over the last 15 months in preparation for collective bargaining, the board entertained salary studies for its superintendent, assistant superintendents, directors, building level administrators, teachers, parapros, and secretaries. We had a very clear picture of both the internal market comparables and the external market comparables of surrounding school districts. The Public School Employee Retirement Act of 1979 allows the comparison of internal wage schedule structures as well as external comparable school district wage structures or schedules when formulating our employees' pensions. This board has reviewed both of these considerations when fashioning all of our 3 new contracts, and with the express expectation that all wages paid to all of our employees will count towards their pensions. So, for example, tonight we will establish new provisions in our administrative handbook that includes an 8-step wage schedule for superintendent and assistant superintendents that matches in form and fashion the schedules that currently exist for all other administrators. And again, these schedules are coming as a direct result of what the Supreme Court told districts that would be best practice moving forward. So again, the goal here is to make sure we're not called into question by the ORS at any point in the future. We also will make market adjustments to some salary ranges based upon recent contracts executed by administrators and other comparable school districts so that our district maintains its competitiveness in the marketplace. So per the Supreme Court's 4-point guidance, we believe that these new schedules constitute a written document, which is the administrative handbook, that is 2, established by statute or approved by a reporting unit's governing body, which is us, the school board. 3, that indicates the time and sequence of compensation, in our case, an 8-step salary schedule, and that 4 conforms to a norm, rule, or principle. And these new schedules really operate, as we pointed out, operate in the same manner as the other schedules for all other administrative employees in the handbook. So there's a long-winded introduction to you, but I think it's important that we have this logged in here because we are making adjustments, but I'm happy to say that every adjustment we're making is designed to protect our employees. So would you like to proceed with talking about the resolution at this point? And I will hand this long-winded diatribe down to Ms. Holmes.
So first up for consideration is our administrative handbook ratification. An agreement between representatives of the Troy School District administrators and the Troy Board of Education was reached on June 25th of 2024, extending the provisions of the administrative handbook until June 30th of 2027. A legal opinion detailing modifications to the administrative handbook was presented to the board for its consideration.
We're being asked to ratify a new administrative handbook. May I have a resolution, please? Ms. Lynn?
Be therefore resolved that the Board of Education hereby adopts the administrative handbook extension reached on June 25th, 2024 between the representatives of the Troy Board of Education and the Troy School District administrators for the period of July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2027.
Support.
Go with Dr. Philippart on that one. I have a resolution by Ms. Knight, supported by Dr. Philippart. Are there any questions or comments?
I just, in going through the old handbook, and I realize it's old and it's, like, there's certain things, but the seniority group is in the org charts are both, I think, from like 2021, so if.
Those will be updated.
Okay. And then we have a district athletic director, and now both of our high schools have an athletic director. Is it possible to get that clarified in the administrative chart, so we know the requirements for each of those?
Yes, that would be, those will be on the list.
Because I was, like, when I was having trouble discerning which one was
Which was
which
which.
based on the way it was currently written.
Other questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, say no. Resolution passes. Thank you for that. Thank you for, there's a lot of work involved in that, John, so thank you for working on that.
Next up is extension of administrative personnel contracts. The superintendent recommends that the administrative contracts of the administrators in the list you have before you be extended through June 30th of 2026 without tenure in the administrative positions and subject to the layoff provision in the administrative handbook where applicable and is permitted by law.
Okay, so now that we have an administrative handbook, we can move forward and extend our administrative personnel contracts. That resolution, please. Ms. Alish?
Be it therefore resolved that the Troy Board of Education approve the extension of the contracts of the aforementioned administrators through June 30th, 2026, or as otherwise indicated in the administrator's individual contract without tenure in administrative positions and subject to the layoff provisions in the administrative handbook where applicable and permitted, and as permitted by law. Support.
But you don't want to read every name on them. No, you don't. You support it?
Yes.
Okay, so I have a resolution by Ms. Alish, supported by Ms. Allen. Are any questions or comments on this? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Those say yes. Thank you. It's fun to renew the contract, these people work so hard.
The next one is for contract extensions for assistant superintendents for employee services, elementary instruction, and secondary instruction. The superintendent recommends that the Troy Board of Education approve contract extensions for John Pagel, Chris Refor, and Christine Pilato. The current contracts for these administrators expired on June 30th of 2024. These two-year successor contracts will commence with board approval and terminate on June 30th of 2026, subject to the provisions contained therein.
Thank you. I'm not sure about that first guy, but we're being asked to approve extensions on our three assistant superintendents. May I have a resolution, please?
Be it therefore resolved that the Troy Board of Education approves the extension of the contracts for John Pagel, Assistant Superintendent of Employee Services, Chris Reaper, Assistant Superintendent Elementary Instruction, and Christine Pilato, Assistant Superintendent Secondary Instruction, through June 30th, 2026, without tenure in the administrative positions. Support.
Resolution by Dr. We'll go this side. Supported by Dr. Wilson. Any questions or concerns about this?
Thank you for
Just-
working on a contract.
Just a curious question. This is only for 2 years versus the other administrators are for 3 years.
So we annually do a renewal of a kind of a 2-year evergreen contract, and so we'll be coming back to you
Just-
again next year.
Again, for
But
the
with
2
the-
years.
Yes.
Just-
Good. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. Thank you, resolution passes. Congratulations.
And finally, we have superintendent's contract extension.
Okay, now,
That's-
I'll tackle this one. I won't be too rough on you, as we go through. Okay, so, the board recently completed Superintendent Dr. Richard Majewski's performance evaluation. I'd like to share the following assessment. Once again, after a thorough conversation about Dr. Majewski's work performance over the 2023-2024 school year using the state-approved Collins of Blaha Superintendent Evaluation tool, the board awarded him a rating of highly effective. Dr. Majewski continues to lead the district with distinction and strategic focus. His superior administrator development has cost some key employees as they accepted amazing career advancements in other school districts. But we have a consolation prize, which is his reputation as a skilled mentor has netted us some bright, ambitious replacements who are already putting their talents to work for us. Bond work has progressed with ease. This year, Dr. Majewski launched a highly successful pre-internship program for our high school students by leveraging the strong connections he's fostered for years with area business leaders and the Troy Foundation. Student achievement continues to be at the top of the state. He successfully guided contract negotiations in all of the district's union groups, and Rich's lobbying efforts for state funding in the spring resulted in Troy receiving nearly double the increase initially recommended by the governor. Finally, the board wants to recognize Dr. Majewski's exemplary model of ethical behavior and kindness. For all these reasons and more, we're happy to extend his contract once again for 20 years. So I think it's appropriate at this time for the board to extend Dr. Majewski's contract through June 30th of 2029. We have a resolution, please. Mr. Pop.
Be it therefore resolved that the Troy Board of Education extends the contract of the superintendent of schools as mentioned above. This contract will be in effect from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2029, without tenure in the administrative position and subject to provisions of the written agreement.
Support. Well, I guess we'll be the issues. Okay. Mr. Hoff, supported by Mr. Hoff. Are there any comments or questions? So, all right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. Congratulations, thank you for another great year.
Appreciate your continued confidence.
Okay.
We appreciate it.
Thank you all.
This officially brings bargaining season to a close.
So you'll get a vacation
Maybe
next
the
year?
longest bargaining season of all time, but I'm glad you're still with us. Okay, item 7 is curriculum. I don't think we have anything. All right, that moves us to business. Mr. Trudell. His first time on the hot seat. And what a first time. This is, yeah. You really start big, you know. I know, it's tens of millions of dollars. Okay.
So
Okay.
first item on the agenda here for approval is iPad purchase. This came at the recommendation of our IT director, Troy Singh. Sticking with the one-to-one model that we have here in Troy Schools, we're looking to purchase 2 iPads in cases, in the amount of $227,000, $327. This will be an expenditure of the 2023 capital projects fund.
Okay, great. We're being asked to approve the purchase of new iPads. May I have a resolution, please? Mr. Hoff?
Be it therefore resolved that the district purchase Apple iPads and cases in the amount of $227,370, and that this amount be approved as an expenditure of the 2023 capital projects fund.
Support.
Resolution by Mr. Hoff, supported by Dr. Phillips. Are there questions or comments about this purchase?
Oh, no, first. So the one-on-one replacements is for what age group, what school?
These ones generally are dispersed across the district. It just depends on which level. The lower elementaries generally don't go one-to-one. It might be one part per classroom. Yeah.
Oh, these are carts. These are
Yeah, they
carts.
try to tailor to what the teachers desire at specific levels.
So there's, reminder, we're doing maybe carts at kindergarten next year, carts at first grade this coming school year, and then carts at second grade the following school year.
That's gonna be wonderful. Does that,
Yeah.
with the cards, does that mean there's still gonna be as many iPads as students? So it'll be less?
And they don't take them home.
That,
They'll be shared.
that's a wonderful.
That's what it is.
Less damage and
because right now, if each iPad was in
Right,
circulation for
right.
like 4 years, so if we have cards, like, does that factor into the, or is that still part of
Troy's not here,
the?
he would be able to
Yeah,
answer that question.
we're working
Unfortunately.
through that right now with Troy, just
Okay.
where we are and what piece we'll set, so.
Unfortunately, he's out ill. He's got COVID right now.
Oh.
He's actually pretty sick. So he's out, but we'll get that question answered and get that answer back to the board so you have an understanding of kind of what our intention is in terms of refresh moving forward. That's a good question.
And I know it's not directly related to these particular purchases, so are the kindergartners this year getting the cards, or the first grader getting the cards?
I think it's new cards for first.
Kindergarten, right, no, it's kindergarten, because those kindergartners then next year will roll into first grade with the cards still, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then first, yeah.
The intention is to move those to second as well.
Oh, so the cards are moving with the kids?
Kind of, it's like a building.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then that is carts in kindergarten, first grade this year.
Correct.
Carts kindergarten, first, second, in the
Next year.
25-26 school.
So it'll be interesting to see if
Is that
parts,
right?
if
Kindergarten
we're
first, for
replacing
sure,
less.
this year. Yes.
Right.
And that's
What-
the intention, yes.
But I said then we moved to carts in second grade,
That's what-
25-26,
Yeah.
20-25.
I think it would probably be helpful to get
A schedule.
a schedule so
Yeah.
you can see exactly what the rollout looks like.
And I realize this is work in progress, and but I just, yeah, thank you.
I think it does address I think it addresses some of the concerns that were brought forward in terms of the one-to-one at the early out. And then it also focuses on some of the questions that were brought forward by our principals themselves in terms of maybe a little bit of an overreach there at that level in terms of a one-to-one experience, drawing that back based upon observation, I think is the right thing to do. So we'll bring that schedule back to you so you can see exactly what it is.
Great.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, say no. All right, thank you, resolution passes. 6B, or 8B, I mean.
The next item for approval tonight is the new Smith Middle School building. So this was bids that were issued by Bart Gallo to approximately 15 different contractors and trades. Total cost proposed is $34,079,197.
Okay, so we're being asked to make our first giant purchase for the new Smith Mills, although we've purchased some other things, but this is by far the biggest. May I have a resolution, please? Who wants to read along? It's on A already. I'll get some water
Can we
for
do
you.
just the top one?
I was gonna say, you don't have to-
Oh,
You don't
we
have to do the bottom
okay.
one, right?
You can just say as listed below and then read, I
Okay.
think you should read the total.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Be it therefore resolved that the bid for construction of the new Smith Middle School, including architectural, mechanical, electrical, and civil site work be awarded as attached hereto in the amount of $34,079,197, and that this amount be approved as an expenditure of the capital projects fund, sinking fund, and food services fund.
With the resolution by Ms. Lynch, supported by Ms. Alish. Questions or comments on this? I have one question, which is, what does this represent in terms of proportion of the total cost of the building?
Just over half. Larry?
Larry, you want to answer?
Hi, Larry.
Come on up.
Yeah, come on up. I didn't see you.
I asked Larry to come to the meeting today, knowing
Yeah.
that there might be some.
Yeah, I'm just curious, the 34 million, as best you can guess right now, what does that represent in terms of the?
The award recommendation lists the estimated total of what's to come. We still have some landscaping, some interior furnishings that we don't have to necessarily purchase right now, that we're still vetting the bid for. Those equate to about $12 million. In addition to what you've already approved, which is foundations and steel. I don't have that number on the top of my head.
Does anybody remember what that was?
One was 8 million and one was
Yeah, I can get those figures exactly.
So, this is, how does the total expenditure look compared to our initial budget through, and we know it's higher, but how
It is
much?
higher. The initial budget was in the range. Again, I can get the exact figure with contingency. So we're roughly projected about $4 million over at this point. But the building is larger than originally, projected in the bond planning phase. And some things have changed.
out all the extra foundation work that we had to do because of the unstable ground, and so I actually kind of really for him for that, not too bad. Yeah, yeah. Good, well, as long as he's at the table, any other questions for there?
Well, so, you kind of alluded to it, so I know we did the electrical prior, the foundation, those are the big things, we have a lot of big things here. What are the other, like, big outstanding items? Furniture, I know is gonna be a big
Yeah.
one, because it's a lot, so what are the other, like, big items
All the
outstanding?
casework, some cabinetry, and those type of things, landscaping is big. I'm gonna hit them on the spot, but, those are the two big, you know,
Have we already, and landscaping includes all the paving, or is that?
maybe we purchased.
We already purchased. I was gonna say, is that in here? That's-
Yeah, legal things has been.
Yeah, so then, paving's gonna be all your, landscaping.
Grass and everything else, yeah. Okay.
There is a forthcoming bid for traffic signal. Another thing that wasn't projected in the bond planning, since we aren't a couple of right now.
Right.
We estimate that to be in the something thousand range.
So the city makes us pay for that?
Yes.
Yes.
Short answer is yes, okay.
It's technically county road, so.
Yeah.
Then what about, I know
Okay.
we had discussion around that Livernois was probably gonna need to be extended all the way to Spur Lake. Is that something that we would have to pay for? Well, I know it's something, if they wanted that, we'd have to pay for, are we being told we need to do that?
Generally, if you're the one that's making the.
Causing the traffic.
Causing the new access onto the road, they generally,
Let's do it.
So are they, have we had reached resolution on that? Like, are we being, is it a requirement
It's being
that we
reviewed.
extend?
Yes, the design is in review, it's being reviewed. We're not putting it out for bid until we get all the feedback. We don't wanna bid something out, then have to change it
Sure,
because of a.
but the design includes extending the turn lane all the way to Spur Lake.
That's correct. And that's, anytime we do schools like this, the district or.
I was hoping the county would tell us we didn't have to do it, but.
Did we account for that in our planning and our budgeting?
Originally, no, because we weren't gonna come up with a originally.
Right.
But in this estimate that's included here, yes.
Also, this one does have that.
The projected total includes that extra.
So the 50 million or so that you're projecting includes that extra.
That's correct.
So including that, it's 4 million over what we were thinking.
Correct.
Okay. That's good.
It's, I know, I was gonna say, this is not nearly as painful as I thought. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I think we can call vote. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Those say no. Nice. Construction began.
And when, can we get an update at the September workshop on construction timeline
For all Congress or for Smith?
Smith.
I guess, for, not for everything, I would say for Smith. And maybe an update on, the athletic fields at Troy High and any of the other big routes.
And Robin's been really good about keeping our team kind of abreast of where we are with that. So if that could probably even get that to communicators too.
That would be fine.
Because that is something with the previous bond, we would see that, like, we get regular updates about, it, especially at the end of the summer, because
Yeah.
construction. So I actually would like to see, through the communique or whatever, kind of where we're at, because I know we were pulled behind because of the rain.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how much work is continuing at the start of the school year. So.
Well,
Rob, thank
while
you.
you're here, do you want to just come up and speak to it, kind of where we are, and then I'll send out something official at the end of the week.
Thank you, Larry.
Yeah.
Since you made the trip anyway, you might as well
Yeah.
speak to it.
Yeah, we're, like you said, it's been extremely wet spring, or summer. I was just telling somebody, we never could turn on district irrigation this year. Never had to, because
We
it's
didn't
so.
either.
So, the athletics, for the most part, have been able to hold schedule. But the tennis courts at Athens are about 2 weeks behind, and the Ox turf field at Troy High is unfortunately about a month behind. The playgrounds are varied because we were able to, the ones that we started early at Troy Union and Morse, we were able to kind of work with the site and start early with it. Those ones are like 95% done and will be really done for the start of school. And then the rest of them kind of stagger. Basically, depending on where we went. But I really think by the end of September, we're gonna be caught up. I mean, whether.
Yeah.
You know, whether, but the contractors have been great. They've done everything that they could to just keep, working, keep moving it forward. I mean, they're vested in getting projects done as well. So overall, the one thing that I've emphasized is, as I said, when we have this opportunity, when the community and everybody, gives us this opportunity, we want to do the right work. We want to do it, we don't want to push something that then we live for the next 20 years because we wanted it a month earlier. Let's be sure that we get it done. And so I'm very comfortable, and really everybody, athletics, the principals, everybody has bought into that. We all agree to it, and the biggest thing, and that's what I'll continue to do for Dan and the whole team is just provide the communication and updates, so that way we can communicate staff and parents and the community as well.
So I'll get that to them.
Yep, absolutely.
How about
Thank you.
the water in the cafeteria at Troy High? How's that repairing? We ever got the floor?
We did have to core some holes in the floor. The concrete actually was poured today to fill it back in. We made the repairs, and then Mother Nature gave us our opportunity to test it.
I know, I kept texting and going, are we underwater again?
And so that was great because we were able to verify everything, because it's really hard to simulate a heavy rain. It's really hard. So we were able to, really test it out. All the repairs held. And I'm proud to tell you too that we did all that work in-house. So, that was.
And in time for the start of school.
And in time for the start of school, and it was underneath the concrete, so it was, I'm not gonna tell you that I didn't have some sleepless nights. It was, it's not fun, but we got it, and it's actually, by the time the students come on Tuesday, they'll never know. So.
That's really good news. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate
And
it.
then I'll also include the updates. I know you guys have had some conversation with a couple of our residents that live near Martell and Smith and some of those concerns. And Dr. Machewski and I have met with them, and we've also continued to just, again, communicate. It's really nothing that we weren't doing anyways. All the work that we were doing that we shared with them was already in the works. So it really didn't change our course or anything. It was really just being able to communicate that and tell them, the storm drain and the drainage ditch at Smith, that is, there's a portion of that is under Eagle's authority. And so we're working through them, and then also the city of Troy reviews our plans, and because we obviously tie into the city storm system. So we have two different entities that we have to submit and have them review. And that's what we've been kind of explaining so that they understand it's not, we don't just create an idea to do it. We actually have really strong oversight that make sure that that's going to work and that it's not going to also negatively affect any of our neighbors or residents.
Did they accept the response? Like, or did you alleviate the concern?
I think to some degree.
City's involved as well. I'm
Yeah.
just looking at both of your faces. It's like,
But
maybe not completely.
Well, and they live in a flood zone. I mean,
Yeah.
they truly live in a flood zone, so I think, and with the summer that we had, I understand the concerns.
Everybody
Because
has
our
their flood zone this summer.
Yeah, because this summer was very bad, I think that elevated their concerns, but I think we've been able to at least show them that we've got a very rigid and thorough process that is going to be vetted by the proper authorities.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you for the athletes retention. It was nice to be there today and not have fencing.
And not have to ask.
Exactly. What's the status of that? Looks
Okay,
great.
we'll move to 8C.
So 8C relates to serving line upgrades at R&R, Venus, and Hamilton Elementaries. All three elementary schools are in need of replacement. And it's part of our spend down plan, food service fund balance. Have put together great quotes through competitive purchasing cooperatives. And pricing was compared and reviewed by Gail, food service liaison, as recommended that we do with the state.
Thank you. Moving yes to approve new serving lines at Barnard, Venus, and Hamilton. Have a resolution, please. Salish?
Be it therefore resolved that the purchase of serving lines be awarded to Great Lakes Hotel Supply in the amount of $141,000, $14.01, and that this amount be approved as an expenditure of the food service fund.
Support.
Okay, your resolution by Ms. Lewis, supported by Dr. Philpott. Are there any questions or comments about this? Seeing none, that's not controversial, I guess. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed, say no. Thanks, Dan. Okay, that moves us to public communication of non-agenda items. We have one yellow slip here from Mrs. Katie McFarland. You spoke to her, so you know the drill here. So you have 3 minutes, and you go. So,
Hi, I'm Katie McFarland. I'm a parent in Troy. In May 2024, Moms for Liberty and Young America's Foundation sued the Biden administration to stop its overhaul of Title IX, an unconstitutional attempt to gut Title IX's guarantee that America's schools afford girls the same opportunities as boys and protect girls and boys with sex-separate private spaces like bathrooms and locker rooms. Represented by Southeastern Legal Foundation, the two organizations assert the claims on behalf of their members whose First Amendment rights are being trampled by the Biden Department of Education's new regulation, which threatens to punish students for voicing their beliefs in biological sex and forces them to affirm views on gender fluidity, transgenderism, and queer theory. On July 2nd, a federal court in Kansas blocked the Biden administration's Title IX regulations from taking effect in 4 states. Federal Judge John Grooms ruled on the side of attorneys general in Kansas, Alaska, Utah, and Wyoming, claiming that Title IX was meant to protect biological women from discrimination in education. The federal court found that the 1,500-page revamp was contrary to law. The Department of Education lacks congressional authority to make the ruling. It violates the First Amendment, and it's impermissibly vague and overly broad. This is the 5th federal court that has told the Biden administration to go pound sand, as the ruling eviscerates equality, free speech, and due process in K-12 schools. The lawsuit seeking the injunction was also filed on behalf of 3 private organizations: Moms for Liberty, Young America's Foundation, and Female Athletes United. The injunction will also prohibit the new rules in schools that are attended by members of Young America's Foundation and the children of Moms for Liberty members across all 50 states. There are schools within the Troy School District that are covered under this injunction, and right now it's a preliminary injunction. This is currently under appeal. It will eventually end up in the Supreme Court. So far, from what it looks like, the Supreme Court is going to rule in our favor. West Bloomfield School Board, they have done the right thing. They have chosen not to adopt policy to go against this injunction because they know that it is being looked upon as unconstitutional. And I just hope that Troy School Board does the right thing and does not adopt policy and abides by this injunction. Thank you.
Thank you. That takes us to other. Yeah, after that. Yeah. Yeah, I figure we'll do that.
Yeah, I don't actually have much to it. Just welcome to the new school year. Glad it's happening.
What do you? Love to you.
Likewise.
Love to you.
I have a couple of questions. So the delays in the tennis courts and stuff like that, do they have any effect on the tennis program that is starting in this week?
No, they had already made alternative plans.
So they go somewhere else to practice?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
that potential might be there.
Okay. Follow up at Athens, I was just walking by the new Ox field, which is, what is it called? It's still called the Ox Field?
Yeah, I think that's what they're calling it.
The Ox Field,
New
and it's
improved.
beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful, but I've noticed it's locked. Is that the intention, to keep it locked? I just wanted to walk in and see how things are, but somehow it was locked.
Has always been locked?
It is the intention to keep it locked at this time. We're in season and using it also for maintenance purposes of that field, so, yes.
Okay, so somebody who is a authority need to open it for kids to go, so kids can't just go and shoot some balls in the soccer field kind of thing anymore?
Correct.
They have to do the main,
Right.
okay.
We have grass fields, we will continue to have, I know right now with all the construction, but we will continue to have grass fields at both Troy High and at Athens. So Troy High's grass field will be directly where the old softball varsity field was, so right off of Long Lake there, that will be a grass field. Then at Athens, there will be a grass field right in between the stadium and where the varsity baseball fields are. There'll be a grass field there.
Oh, there will be?
There will be, yeah. So when we look at our site plans, we'll have open grass field for kids who just want to come up and play. Then our new auxiliary nature fields will
But do
be.
we do anything with treating those, because they're always filled with water? In Athens area, it's always filled with water, kind of.
Well, I believe that as we do the site work over at Athens, the intention is to be able to make that a usable practice grass field.
Oh,
Reading that site is similar to Troy. But
I would say, I know that
it drains
plan.
appropriately.
okay. And today, and when we were at Athens, of course, there's a parking issue. There's like, couldn't find parking anywhere.
On this day for sure.
Today, of course,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of us. But I noticed when there was, I think, some practice going on at Athens at the Ox Field, and they had no place to park for the kids. Is that just because of construction, or hopefully we would have enough parking there?
Normally they would have enough parking. Today is an anomaly because of with everyone from the district coming in. Even when we have all parking available, parking is a challenge on
Exactly.
this welcome back day.
Okay. So that's.
But beyond that, there shouldn't be a problem for the folks to park.
Last question is Hamilton update. How are we doing?
Everything is good. Christian, will mention it?
Very beautiful. It looks amazing.
All done?
Yes, I think we'll be ready for kids, so.
Okay.
An unbelievable transformation. Staff is very happy. They're with all the new furniture, the flooring looks beautiful, so. Very different place.
Staff has access this week to set
Oh,
their
absolutely.
classrooms up again?
They were able to
Okay.
get right on track.
Okay.
With having no school at the end for those 3 weeks, it really put us ahead of the game for, and on track and happy, so.
And were we able to compensate for the teachers who lost their personal stuff in Hamilton?
Yes.
We were able to.
That correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are the questions I have. Thank you.
Just kudos to everybody who plans today. So, Liz was a fantastic speaker, so anyone who didn't have a chance, I'm hoping will have access to the video of her speech.
I don't believe we videotaped it, no.
We have her
We were
slide
not
deck,
going
though.
to.
We do have her slide deck.
Okay.
Oh,
So we
okay,
have her
good.
slide deck.
Yeah, I would love the
Yeah.
slide deck. A lot of good stuff there.
Well, that's always there.
It's always
The
there.
temps was there, but the camera's always there, it's just whether or not it's on, so. But anyway, she was phenomenal, and, just thank you for, and I always am so impressed with the way teaching and learning and the offerings that teachers have this week, and just the passion, and so, thank you for everybody who did all the work to make today a wonderful day. So, your opening, just great.
Yeah, I
Does the
think it's-
church mind, do we just park in the church when we help?
Oh. So I assume Natalie's on my support. This morning, she was like, "We made it." I said, "You made it. I'm fine. I've been sleeping for the last week." But yeah, you know, really, kudos to. I know it takes a ton of people to put that on, and everything when you walk in, everything looks beautiful. It's all laid out, and you know, the coordination. It's really neat. It just is. It's just a wonderful way for the staff to come back to work. Great job. I thought your opening was really good. You built on the themes from last year. I think you properly challenged our entire organization in ways that they should be challenged. And I thought, I don't know how well you coordinated it with Liz, but it was a perfect lead-in to everything she was talking about. So I thought the two presentations helped you out wonderfully too. So, do you have any?
I appreciate you mentioned, I was going to mention that, just kudos to the teaching and learning department. We'll do that in September. We'll back at services, but more officially. But aside from Liz Kleinrock's remarks and her quick Q&A session and Dr. Sneed's session with the secondary, everything else was all other presentations, PD was in-house, and that's kudos to Natalie and her team, but It also goes back to the continued focus on capacity building throughout the organization, creates the opportunity for us to lean on the professionals across the organization, provide that level of PD, which might otherwise have to be farmed out, and have to ask local schools and ask to come in and provide that, but we have those experts in-house, so it's really a testament to the work that continues across the school districts. That is also thanks to you all, the resource allocation, continuing to challenge us to make sure that we're leaning into PD and our capacity building. So I appreciate that. Anything else? Nothing really else for me. PD continues tomorrow. Teachers be in their buildings for the most part on Thursday, preparing for start of next week, and we'll have kids next Tuesday.
Chris,
Right here now.
Christine, Chris, anything you want to share with the board that hasn't been said?
Just
On your
buildings
list.
look absolutely beautiful. Ignore the playground. I was just sharing with Rich the 6 buildings that have the furniture, and just the teachers have been doing a tremendous job and just setting up, and it just is like a whole new facelift. And today was outstanding. Natalie and the team did just a great job. So I think everybody there's just a real positive vibe in the district. Great start to the year so far. So far, one day in.
How could it be anything like that? And Christine, anything at secondary that you want us to know about?
I would just echo, not only the classrooms with the new furniture look great, but we were able to upscale the 4th and 5th grade furniture from all of our elementaries to Smith and Athens. So those classrooms, those buildings got new furniture, right? So it was the 4th and 5th grade furniture purchased not long ago, which really is going to breathe some life into those buildings that we know we need to keep online for a few more years before we get those renovations underway. So just kudos to our custodial team and all the folks who have made our spaces beautiful. One thing, Rich, I don't think you mentioned homecoming. Did you? Okay, so we have homecoming this year is right around the corner. Homecoming in the district, both Troy High and Athens will have homecoming on September 27th. So it's on the same night.
Yeah.
So we'll have our homecoming football game on the 27th, and our
So
parades
parades
will
are
be
the
happening
same
at the
time?
same time, and then our dance is happening at the same time on Saturday night. So the challenge in picking homecoming is there's a very limited home game schedule for both of our football teams, and there's an even more limited home game schedule of games you might have a good chance of winning, which is a component of a homecoming. So they were selected, based both on some challenges with just where the gaps were in their schedule. So last year, Tim Fulcher did a lot of work, and he and I worked together with the Detroit Police Department. So they've been on board with this decision since early on, because we knew we can't pull this off without TV, staffing, all of that for us. So they've been on board since like January. We were talking about it. So I share that with you because it will be important if you are interested in participating in a parade that we try to even out some attendance so that one's
Yeah,
not
I've already
overburdened.
said yes to one, but I didn't know that we were going to have to divide it
So
up.
talk amongst yourselves, but you can certainly balance that out.
Doesn't happen very often.
And if it doesn't work, it's
You
your
know,
fault.
I know.
It's happened one
But
other
it's my
time.
favorite thing to do, is to be the parade from candy.
One other time.
So,
We'll try to avoid it moving forward.
okay. Can we stagger the start time to the parade? Okay. Okay, well, we're done with, I don't think I have anything else to add to what everyone else said, so, I guess, anything else do you want? Right? I know.
Yeah.
So my thought was I want to continue the conversation about the book, for those of us who are here, if you guys are up for it. Are you already burnt out from the